evening. All right, it's on. All right, this year's L2L theme is Ruth 3:5. All that you say to me, I will do. If you wouldn't mind turning your Bibles to Joshua chapter 5, we'll read from verse 13 through the end of the chapter right quick. And it came to pass, when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, a man stood opposite him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said, Are you for us, or are you our adversaries? So he said, No, but as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth, and worshipped, and said to him, What does my Lord say to his servant? Then the commander of the Lord's army said to Joshua, Take your sandal off your foot, for the place where you stand is holy. And Joshua did so. We see that contrary to many, Joshua humbly asked the Lord what he could do. He said to the commander of the Lord's army, What does my Lord say to his servant? The commander of the Lord's army said to Joshua, and he gave him a command. And it says, and Joshua did so. It doesn't say Joshua questioned the authority. It doesn't say Joshua argued. It doesn't say Joshua didn't take off his sandal. It says, and he did so. This is an excellent example of how we should live our Christian life. We should ask, what does the Lord say to his servant? I. Oftentimes I hear people saying, well, if there really was a God, why is there sickness and death? Or if there is a God, let him make me rich and wealthy and healthy. I'd be willing to say that most of us know the famous words of President John F. Kennedy in his inaugural address. He said, My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. This is an excellent philosophy of how we should live, not only for our nation and our country, but for our God. Let me rephrase it a bit to show you. Ask not what your God can do for you, but how you can serve your God. I'm going to finish reading through finish reading and start in chapter 6. Now Jericho was securely shut because of the children of Israel. None went out and none came in. And the Lord said to Joshua, See, I have given Jericho into your hand, its king and the mighty men of valor. You shall march around the city, and all you men of war. You shall go all around the city once. This you shall do 6 days, and 7 priests shall bear before the ark. But the 7th day you shall march around the city 10 times, and the priests blow the trumpets. Hear the sound of the trumpet. Shall shout with a great shout in the flat, and the people shall stand straight before him. Then Nun called the priests and said, Take up the ark of the covenant, see it and march around the city. Who is armed advanced before the. So it was when Joshua the Lord advanced and blew the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. Now, Joshua here was relaying the words, was giving commands by God, and he relayed those commands to the people. Now, he could have made up his own commands to give to the people. He could have said, those walls look awfully big. Maybe we should amp up the noise. That's a key. Make it 7 instead of 7. Or those walls are a little big. Maybe we should a little bit more. 2 times a day in time. He could have given the people any command that he wished. But Joshua knew that if he didn't follow God's plan to the T, they would not be successful in overtaking Jericho. Every command God gives us, we should follow to the T, because it's his plan and we don't have the omniscient sight that he does. As I continue through chapter 6, starting in verse 9, the armed men went before the priest, who blew the trumpets, and the rear guard came after the ark, while the priest continued blowing the trumpets. Skipping down to verse 15. But it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day, and marched around the city 7 times in the same manner. On that day only they marched around the city 7 times. And the 7th time it happened, priests blew the trumpets, that Joshua said to the people, Shout for the city, the Lord has given you the city. Skipping down to verse 20. So the people shouted when the priest blew the trumpets, and it happened when the people heard the sound of the trumpet. And the people shouted with a great shout that the wall fell down flat. Then the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, ox and sheep and donkey, with the edge of the sword. So the Lord was with skipping down to verse 27. So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame spread throughout all the country. The people had Ruth's attitude. They followed what Joshua said to them to a T, because they knew that it was from God and that God always knows best. I can imagine how tired those people must have been, walking around the city that many times. Maybe on the sixth time they figured, I'm so tired. Maybe what if we just shouted now instead? But they didn't. They waited until they had marched around the city 7 times, and Joshua gave the command. And the walls of Jericho fell, and the people were successful. And if they wouldn't have, I can guarantee the walls wouldn't have fallen, and they would not have been triumphant, but the people did. That tonight about baptism. It's important to follow God's every command with a willing attitude, just as Ruth and the people of Israel. Just as the Israelites followed God's command when they defeated Jericho. Tonight, if you've not been following God's commands how you should be, or you wish to be baptized, please come forward as we stand and sing.
But maybe Johnny will have some notes on this. It is 14 days until our gospel meeting begins. So it's going to become very, very busy here, I hope, over the next 2 weeks. And I just want to encourage all of you to kind of get your energy levels up and let's, keep pushing through to the end until we get to this gospel meeting. So be on the lookout for friends and people in the community that need to, you can invite. There are still a few things that need to be taken care of. There's still some yard signs out here. I don't think they've all been put out yet. So if you have not picked up your yard sign, please get it tonight. Check your name off the sheet and go put it out in your yard. Visitation is coming up. We're doing visitations every Monday night. Please come Monday night for visitation. We're going to have, we'll have several names of folks that need visits, and so we want to encourage you to all come out and participate in that. And just, it's with 2 weeks left, we have address and email address for Dan Chambers in the bulletin. It would be great if he gets about 100 emails a week for the next 2 weeks. Don't you think that would excite him, and he would bring some energy into this place if he gets a bunch of emails and phone calls and cards? So let's flood him for the next 2 weeks. Let's flood his inbox, or even regular mailbox for those of you that prefer that, and encourage him before he comes, and he'll bring lots of energy in. So 2 weeks. So let's keep going. Prayer vigil is this Friday. I didn't bring my. It's next Friday. Next weekend. Prayer vigil's coming up, but the sign-up sheet is out there, and we would love for every slot to have multiple people in it. In the past, it's kind of been kind of thin. We've only a lot of time slots have only had one person in them. How about let's shoot for 3 to 5 or more in each time slot, and let's have a bunch of people up here praying all the time for 24 hours. So lots to do. So sign up, get your energy level up, and let's push through these next 2 weeks and make this a successful meeting.
We have a bit of a reputation to uphold with Brother Jan. Last year, our speaker was Joe Wells, and he was serving at the congregation where Dan is the preacher. We went back and told Dan all about you. So Dan has high expectations, so let's exceed those. I know we will. I know. Up for the ad in the newspaper back there. That's going to be going to the newspaper on Monday. If you've not done so, go ahead this evening. Prayer vigil, please cite leaving the power. Yes, we can pray at home. That's effort that encouraging, I pray, but God, but by showing that we're doing our parts for the prayer vigil. That there, yard sign, and mention those. Those will be going. It's a lot does that. So please pick up greeter information day, and second service is on the table. It's a table back there. So look at that and see if you have been at a school meeting. Golf tournament on the 28th, leaving for the Seminole 7:30 that morning. Jim Willis or Jim details if you'd like. This evening to help set up Fusion, which is this weekend, and we really need some help this week. It's L2L week. A lot of us who are us for the Leaderettes Conference. If you can help at all, please help this week. Food distribution arrive around 8 or 8:15. We need a lot of Friday morning, and they're going to need help. Pat mentioned visit Monday 6:30 here. There's going to be for the men and boys on May the minute that will begin. At a 10, you can come for the evening in the morning. Drive back that long if that's Keith for more details. Let's see, everyone needs to meet just down front. Meet right down front as soon as here. We'll be back, I promise. Done. Let's be down here, meet with Gary, get all for the weekend. So everybody going to L down here as soon as James did not work. So praying for Jane Gwynn and their family is a very sad situation for them. Remember to add Coy. He's having a triple bypass there on Friday or on Monday. Glenn Wood, of course, those traveling to L2 and all those we've been praying for, and Jim Hayes. I need to for it. Anyway. And who else? Aaron. Come on, I got 3 of you. Got to sing. Come on up. Come on up. Come on, Red. Y'all can just line up down there. We'll just sing happy birthday to everybody. Make it easy, okay? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Okay, please be standing.